go up inside the bridge, over the glass floors, and down into the engine rooms as well. Not into the bottom of the bridge, but the engine rooms on the other side. Here we have the Tower of London over on our right-hand side, the White Tower in the middle. That's a bit founded by William the Conqueror. Founded, he literally only got to the foundations of it, and his son finished it off. And the walls around the outside from Henry III and Edward I. On the outer wall, this is St. Thomas's Tower sticking out with the Traitors Gate in it. That's where Edward I used to live, because it's the safest place. It was a place to live. It was away from land, on the river was safer. And there was a gate underneath it that was used for trade. If you read what was above that bricked up archway, it said, "Entry to the Traitors Gate." Originally, the Traitors Gate became the Traitors Gate, because lots of people went through there to be executed. Yes, traitors to the crown were beheaded inside there. Only 7 people were beheaded. Others were executed in other ways inside there, but very few people were executed inside the tower. More were definitely executed on Tower Hill. Further out, the Tower of London has been a palace, fortress, prison, royal mint, observatory, zoo, gun arsenal, and store place for the crown jewels in its lifetime. So trying to explain that in like a minute, it's quite difficult. I'd recommend going there. I spent a whole day there, literally. I went there from opening to pretty much close. I liked it. I'm a bit of a nerd, so you don't have to spend that long in there. But it's always good to go to the crown jewels towards the end, I found, because there are fewer people in there. So I waited to the end to go to the crown jewels. No. This was not a half-term holiday, though. On the right there, you've got the scalpel, the cheese grater, the walkie-talkie, and the gherkins. Behind the scalpel, it's gone. So you can see a cluster of buildings here. This is because this is the city. And they're running out of space here. They're building that new one behind the walkie-talkie there. That's 22 Bishopsgate. They're going to build another one somewhere in there, and then ain't many more can be built in there, because it's still got a Roman street plan there. Very restrictive. Apparently the word street doesn't exist in the City of London. I found out. I had this told to me by a guest, and we researched it. There's like one road that's half called a street. It's very strange, because it's not part of the original vocabulary in the Roman language. Anyway, ahead of us we have London Bridge. There have been many bridges here. The monument over on your right as well, in between the gap, don't worry. We'll be talking about what that commemorates on the way back. That's the monument that commemorates the rebuilding of the City of London after the Great Fire of 1666. You can go up there, by the way, look out over London and enjoy the views that they would have done. A bit different nowadays over London. Anyway, London Bridge. Roman, Anglo-Saxon, medieval bridge. We don't know if the Vikings built a bridge there. Medieval one, definitely over 600 years that one lasted. Replaced by a Victorian bridge in 1831. That was opened and was pulled down in the late 1960s because it was sinking slightly and not very functional for modern transport. It was sold to an American. It is now living in Arizona. It was bought by a very rich man called Robert Hughes. He built it in the middle of a lake in Arizona. Lake Havasu, Arizona. The medieval one, by the way, is the one that you'll see in most old paintings of London. 19-arch bridge, shops and houses on it, gatehouse and stakes with traitors' heads stuck on them on top of that gatehouse. Very famous bridge, that London. I haven't mentioned this bridge because there ain't much to say about it. Cannon Street Railway Bridge. It's ugly and designed by British Rail. That's all there is to say about it. Nothing else going on there. This bridge, though, Southwark Bridge, there's a lot of people on this bridge. Good grief, this is a Sunday. There's not meant to be many people on this bridge. That's a lot of people, by the way. For this bridge, least used bridge in central London. No main roads leading to it. Not the easiest of bridges to find. A lot of people just end up there because they're lost. So I'd imagine the people we just saw were lost tourists. There's another one. Anyway, we're going to head underneath the Millennium Bridge. What have I spoken about? St. Paul's, good. Managed to fit that in, didn't I? So, over on our right, didn't time my cruise very well this time. Over on our right, we have St. Paul's. In a minute, if you can't see it just yet, just ahead of us. Now, the Great Fire of London, remember that monument? I kind of rushed over there. The monument is not far from where the Great Fire started. And St. Paul's isn't far from where the Great Fire ended. If you go, oh, I'm challenging my geography here, a little bit west of St. Paul's, you'll come to Pye Corner, where the Great Fire ended. Anyway, the Great Fire burned down St. Paul's, the medieval St. Paul's. It actually burnt down 13,200 houses, 87 churches, 6 chapels, and many other important buildings, including St. Paul's Cathedral. Sir Christopher Wren was Chief Surveyor of Works. Wait for me, I can't wait. The Chief Surveyor of Works for the City of London after the Great Fire. and before the Great Fire as well. So he had a lot of work on his hands, and this was one of his greatest works. If you have not been to St. Paul's, you can't go in there as a tourist on a Sunday. You can only go in there for ceremonies, but you can go there in the weekdays, the touristy bits. That means going to the top, to the Golden Gallery, which I definitely recommend. I suffer from mild vertigo, and I went up there and I was okay. I feel a little bit weird. I work on the London Eye, but up there it's a little bit different when you've just got a railing in front of you. It's like, but I still love it. Love views from up there. It's amazing. Definitely go to St. Paul's. It should be very high on your to-do list here in London. If you couldn't go today and you're here tomorrow, definitely recommend going tomorrow. Well, we're getting close to the red columns. Well, the bridge ahead of us, above us I should say, this is Cannon... No, it isn't. It's Blackfriars Railway Station / bridge. It's a station and a bridge. And the red columns are giant bird tables, by the looks of it. Is that a pigeon or is that a goose? I can't tell because of the perspective. That's a goose. That's a big pigeon. And seagulls. No, they are half a bridge. There used to be a whole bridge on this site. A railway bridge that wasn't needed, basically. They closed it down and it was derelict for a while before they tried to pull it down and realised the columns would have taken dynamite to blow them up or something similar, and that would have blown up other stuff. Not a good idea. So they just left the columns there, painted them red and hope no one would notice. Looks very important what's going on here on the right. Some of you might know what's going on here. There was a documentary about it on the BBC, I believe. We have struck oil in London. We're going to make lots of money. No, it's our super sewer that's being built. If you go on the London Eye, it's quite amazing. I'm like I say, I go up on the London Eye a lot, so I look at different things. There's an area like this, with this big wall around it, and you can see the bottom of the Thames, because they've cut the water off from it. So they've emptied out the water from a section of the Thames. If you look at it from the London Eye, you can literally see the mud and that on the bottom of the Thames. I still like that kind of stuff. So here, I imagine it's very similar, that they're actually keeping the water out so they can work on the super sewer that's being built there. Quite needed. The Victorian sewer is underneath this road. This is called the embankment. The whole thing is the embankment, not just the road. And it's a very important part of London because it's the Victorian sewer that we're still using. And you can find down there also the District Line Railway service, the first electric underground railway service, the District Line. The first ones were of course steam. That was up in Farringdon. Explore that. It's an interesting place. If you've ever been to like Farringdon Station